Okay, so let's start off, and for people who may not be familiar with you, just kind of tell me who you are, what you stand for, just a quick kind of like elevator,
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Daniel Gade. I'm the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate this year. I'm a 25-year Army veteran. I served in the Army from the time I was 17 until I was 42. Retired as a Lieutenant Colonel in 2017, and during my service I was wounded in combat twice and decorated for valor. Got a master's and a PhD in public policy and have worked in the veterans space since I lost a leg in Iraq. So I'm well trained on policy that affects our state's veterans, and I'm looking forward to winning this race in 2 weeks.
Sorry.
We're going to redo that?
I think we'll be okay. I'm just going to move this a little more in this direction.
Okay.
You'll just look even better for the next answers.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service, first of all. Why run for Senate? Why run for office?
Well, I view this race as an extension of my military service. So again, 25 years of Army service, serving as a servant of the Constitution. And now the oath that a senator takes is the same oath. And so our motto is same oath, new mission, which means just that this is just an extension of what I've always done, which is serve my fellow citizens and serve the Constitution.
So I know healthcare is a big topic in this election. You've been outspoken about the fact that you support protections for people with pre-existing conditions. But you also say that you are not fully on board with repealing the Affordable Care Act. Kind of talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So of course we need to protect people with pre-existing conditions. I myself have one, as you know, and I've worked for a decade with people with significant disabilities, including on the National Council on Disability, all of whom by definition have pre-existing conditions. So what we have to do is have a system that protects those folks. But the way we drive costs down, which is what the other thing everybody's concerned about, is we expand health savings accounts. We do price transparency. We do prescription drug acquisition reform, and we sell insurance across state lines. And once we can do those things, expand telemedicine, of course, once we can do those things, then prices will begin to come down. And that's the pressure that the average family is feeling. Even under the Affordable Care Act, we've seen people's premiums double, in some cases triple, and it's been crushing for middle-class families. So what we have to do is any reform that I would ever back would protect people with pre-existing conditions and work to bend the cost curve down.
A lot of Republicans are saying go all the way and repeal and replace. Why not go that far?
Well, it's nonsense. They're saying that, look, I'm not a politician. I'm not a career politician. Unlike Mark Warner, I'm not a career politician. And so it's a nonsense position in the sense that it's not based in reality. That's not where we are. The Affordable Care Act has been a law for 10 years, and it can't be repealed. It's just not even possible. So what we have to do is keep the parts that work, reform the parts that don't work, and move forward from where we are instead of pretending like we can. And I'm just sick of politicians lying. I'm sick of the lies against me, saying I'm not for protecting people with pre-existing conditions. And I'm sick of Republican politicians lying and saying, oh yeah, we can definitely just repeal it. That's ridiculous. It's absurd. It doesn't work, and it can't happen. So we have to move forward from where we are.
Do you think it's risky to kind of separate from the GOP on that sense a little bit?
Well, look, again, I'm not a regular politician. I'm not a career politician. What I am is a career servant, and yeah, it might be risky in a political sense, but what's more risky is just kicking the can down the road, which we've seen politicians do on that and the deficit and on and on and on. And I hate it. I won't stand for it, and I'm going to be the kind of person who's leading us in the right policy direction instead of just pretending like the old political lies will work.
Obviously, we are still in the midst of a pandemic. What are your thoughts on how the coronavirus has been handled in the U.S. so far?
Well, obviously everybody is responding to thank God, a once in a lifetime, so far at least, pandemic, and a lot of people are dead, people are suffering. And so I was horribly disappointed to see Mark Warner vote against COVID relief for Virginia families. People are suffering right now. They need the Paycheck Protection Plan. They need the search for a vaccine. They need the extra money for schools. And Mark voted against all of that because it wasn't everything that he wanted, and only in Washington is that kind of letting your constituents hurt okay, and it's not okay. And I'm hoping he'll change his tune and vote for the new bill that's up this week, but I think he won't. I think he'll go with his party like he always has.
So if you are elected to the Senate, what kinds of things will you push for in terms of coronavirus relief? What do you think Virginia families need? Yeah,
we definitely need the Paycheck Protection Plan for as long as COVID is raging, which it is looking like it's going to again this fall. We definitely need search for a vaccine. We definitely need the extra funding for schools to get our kids back to schools, because a lot of families are relying on two incomes, and you can't have two incomes if one of the parents is forced to stay home with the kiddos.
Obviously, this summer we have seen cries for racial justice, police reform, things like that across the nation. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this, and what changes do you think need to be made?
Oh yeah, I as somebody who's fought with my entire life for people who can't defend themselves, I feel acutely the need for criminal justice reform, for policing reform. There's a lot that we can do to ensure that our police have the tools they need to protect us. Of course, the defunding the police that Mark Warner did as governor by $50 million is absurd and evil. The defunding the police that they're calling for on the national level, the Democrats are absurd and evil. We need to reform some policing stuff, and we need to protect citizens. But the direction they're going with this stuff is totally unconscionable, because it puts people at risk. It's not okay. But I feel the need for racial justice as well, which is why I'm for sentencing reform. I'm for drug reform, even descheduling marijuana so that we can treat it as a lower priority than some of the hard narcotics that are at the top of the scale. There's a lot of things we can do to help particularly black and brown poor communities do better in the criminal justice realm.
And how much of that reform do you think can be done and should be done on that federal level as opposed to the state level?
Well, it depends. I mean, a lot of sentencing is a state level issue because the crime is a state crime, but the federal government can lead by making sure that the states are getting the assistance they need in research and things like that. And then the federal government can also lead in terms of what crimes are federal crimes and help reform that.
Obviously, we're still talking about the Supreme Court nomination. What are your thoughts on both the nomination of Judge Amy Coney Barrett and then also the timing on this? Because you would be someone who, if you were elected, you would be in that new round of people making these decisions. What are your thoughts?
Well, so the president's authority to nominate somebody and the Senate's responsibility to confirm or not confirm does not depend on the timing of an election. There's nothing in the Constitution about the timing of an election. So in 2016, the Republicans erred. They made a mistake in not bringing Merrick Garland to the floor. They should have. And in that, I agree with 2016 Mark Warner, who said we should hashtag do your job. And in 2020, the same conditions are true. We should hashtag do our job. And that means giving her an up or down vote. I would vote to confirm her because she's an absolutely awesome jurist. She's smart, put together, a constitutional, originalist. All of that stuff makes her the perfect choice for the Supreme Court, and I'm really proud of the job she's done representing herself and representing constitutional values.
Do you think she should be confirmed?
Oh, 100%.
Confirm her before the election?
Yeah, again, the president's authority doesn't expire around an election, and the Senate's responsibility doesn't expire around an election either. And that's what Mark said in 2016. And in 2020, he's flip-flopping. Because he's a career politician who's only going with his party, he's flip-flopping on this.
A lot of these things are, big talkers, but I think, the people listening to this story when this runs, a lot of these families are thinking about the economy. They get hit hard by the pandemic. What do you want them to know about what you will do, what you will fight for, it's going to help them?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that would have helped Virginia families right now, that could be helping them right now, if you're struggling, you're out there and you're struggling, the thing that could help you is COVID relief. And Mark Warner voted against the COVID relief package that would have brought relief to Virginia families, and it's offensive to me. There are millions of Virginia families who are suffering right now, or Virginia citizens, hundreds of thousands of families, because he voted against the package.
And you said, you're not a career politician.
Right.
And you said he is. What do you think that you will bring that will be different to Washington?
Yeah, a fresh new perspective, a servant's heart, a lifetime of demonstrated fidelity to the Constitution, and willingness to risk everything, including my life, for my values, for our shared values. And that's totally different than what you see in Washington typically.
And then, just kind of to sum things up, why should people vote for you? Why should families trust you with everything right now, with everything on the line?
Well, because they've already trusted me with everything. They've trusted me with their national security for decades. That's what I've been doing professionally. And then the other piece is, my closing argument to Virginia is you can choose between a career servant, that's me, and a career politician who's only ever done politics. That's Mark Warner. And so as you look at that, if you like what you see in Washington, D.C., if that kind of dysfunction and discord and fighting is what you want, pick Mark Warner. If you want a servant's heart, if you want somebody who you can trust to do the right thing for you, then I'm your guy.
Is there anything else, any issues that you wanted to talk about that we didn't touch on, anything else you wanted to say?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Great.
All right.
Thank you, sir.